Right, good evening everybody, and welcome. Thanks for attending this meeting of the Governance Committee on Tuesday 22nd of July 2025. My name's Councillor Ian Watkinson and I'm the chair of this committee. Before we start this evening, I would just like to outline some housekeeping rules. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it does sound, please leave via the emergency exits and congregate on the car park to the rear of the building. Can I also request that all mobile phones are kept on silent or switched off? Thank you very much. Members of the committee are attending in person here at the Civic Centre. Other members of the council might also dial into the meeting via Teams to observe and or participate in the meeting. Please note this meeting is live streamed on YouTube and the web link for this can be found on the council's website. Members on Teams are asked to keep their microphone on mute and only unmute when they wish to speak. Could I remind members to mute themselves once they've finished speaking to enable the meeting to proceed smoothly? And before we start, we will do this. Before we start, please may we have some introductions around the room, and we will start with councillors, and we'll start to my right.
I'm Peter Gabbett, councillor for Lost Call and vice chair of the committee.
Councillor Damien Bretherton, representing Walton Liddell West.
Councillor James Gleeson, Park Green, Gregson Lane.
Councillor David Shaw, representing Howick Priory in Penwortham.
Councillor Margaret Smith, representing New Longton and Hutton East.
Councillor Emma Stevens, Bamber Bridge East.
Thanks very much. We'll go back this way then for officers, and we'll start with you, Ben.
I'm Howard Norris, the interim monitoring officer.
Ben Story, Democratic Services Officer.
I'm Neil Holton, Director of Finance and Section 151.
I'm Oliver Dent, I'm the Associate Head of Finance and Deputy Section 151.
I'm Hannah Birchall, I'm Principal Financial Accountant.
Dawn Heighton, I'm Head of Audit and Risk.
I'm Jackie Murray, I'm the Senior Auditor.
Stuart Flynn, Independent Member.
I'm Craig Ainsworth, Independent Member.
Brilliant, thanks very much. And online, if any councillors or officers want to introduce themselves, now's the time to do that. Not yet.
Good evening, I'm Councillor Karen Walter, representing Farrington West.
Thank you, Councillor Walton. Okay, we're going to sort that out. No problem at all. So we'll now commence with the agenda, and item number 1, when Ben gets back from unplugging that, I'll just fill this little void of space by talking slowly. Item 1 is apologies. Ben, do we have any apologies?
All committee members are present. We have had apologies from Grant Thornton with the agreement from Director of Finance. There wasn't much of an update with the audit only just commencing, so they'll bring back more sort of detailed updates at a future meeting. So they've sent apologies for today.
Okay, thank you. That takes us on to item 2, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any interests to declare? No. Thanks very much. On to item 3, minutes of the last meeting held on 27th of May. Members are advised that this item can be found starting on page 5 of the agenda. And it's worth noting that committee members have been provided with an update with regards to the scrutiny and governance protocol. And that will be incorporated into the draft constitution that will come before us on September the 8th. Okay. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes of 27th of May? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I got the email regarding the scrutiny and protocol, but there are also a number of items that were on the agenda that said that they would be reported back to us. One of them was about the local government ombudsman, that there was a matter upheld and they were going to supply us with the details of that. There was also a matter of the training for members was going to be organised, and also the closed graveyards. They were going to tell us which were the closed graveyards, and they were going to also give us a progress update. I don't know when that's coming. I think it's important. It's a very important report that we had about the closed graveyards, and I think there was a lot of issues there. And I'd like to think that it's not here tonight. It will be here at the next one. Thank you. But if you would like me to propose them, I'm happy to do that. The minutes.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, thanks for that, and thanks for both things as a proposal for the minutes. But let's take those queries to officers. Is there anybody here who can help with what Councillor Smith has just raised, please?
In terms of the closed graveyards, I can bring back an update to the next meeting about that report specifically.
And the ombudsman issue. Well, we're not in a position to...
If it helps, Mr. Chairman, it was in the annual governance statement.
Okay. Well, let's have that as a takeaway so that we get a written response after the meeting. But thanks for raising those things. And Councillor Smith has...
Sorry, can I just raise one small point? Independent persons has a particular statutory role, and I just wonder whether it'd be more helpful if the expression independent members is used in minutes and documents to reflect Stuart and I's role. It's also referred to in the committee's annual report. It's just a suggestion, but I just think it could be confusing to members of the public.
Sounds like a sensible suggestion, and
that's the term SIP for you.
I think we can note that and change that moving forward if that's okay. Okay, so we have had a proposer for the minutes. We need a seconder. Thank you very much, Councillor Gleeson. Can we take a vote for the minutes? Thank you very much. That's approved. Okay, thanks, Damien. That takes us on to item 4, Treasury Management Outturn Report 2024 to 2025. And Neil's going to present this report for us. Thanks, Neil.
Yep, so this is the outturn report for 24-25. So members will remember we bring a report in mid-year, usually around September, November time on the mid-year, and then this is the outturn. In between times, as part of the budget report, you will see that there is the Treasury strategy is refreshed, the Treasury management strategy. Just in respect of some elements of training, there has an invite gone out today for Treasury management training in January. So that training will be offered to all members, not just the committee, which I think was a request previously. So we will be doing some further training in January ahead of next year's Treasury management strategy and budget. In respect of this report itself, it's probably reflective of the outturn overall of the council. So there was some slippage in the capital programme, which meant that as a result, we probably have more resources available to invest than we were expecting. Interest rates remained higher than we were expecting. So just in respect of table 1, you'll see the movement across the year. I think some of that is in relation to a reprofiling as we got a better understanding of cash flows of schemes, particularly as the town deal progresses, understanding how those cash flows are going to come through across the years. In respect of the financing, so as a result, we said we were going to be needing around 17 or 16 million to be borrowed or from internal borrowing. As a result, it was only around 8 million. Again, that is largely due to slippage in the capital programme. And as a result, that shows that in table 3, the capital financing requirement that we are meeting from internal borrowing wasn't quite as great as we were expecting. I should point at this point, there is a slight adjustment in respect of IFRS 16. Members may remember in the previous meeting, we brought management responses to the audit, And in that, we said there would be changes as a result of IFRS 16. So there are some small changes around IFRS 16. That's specifically noted in point 18. It is an accounting entry. It doesn't actually change anything in respect to borrowing, but what it does in effect is treat some things that previously would have appeared in the revenue statements into the capital statements. Obviously, at the minute, we're still in the middle of the audit. We're waiting their audit on IFRS 16 and what kind of feedback they might have on that. But it isn't material. We don't expect significant changes to that. But there is a slight change this year that people won't have seen before because of those new accounting requirements. That aside, I would just point that the debt overall remains at zero, but we are anticipating that this will reduce. It reduced in year. We are anticipating that this will reduce further across the next year as the capital programme continues to kind of spend the resources and use those resources. The investments, again, investment income didn't really drop in year, but that was largely, if you're looking at table 6, that's largely as a result of receiving capital grants in advance of us spending them. So while expenditure has increased, overall, we've still had the same amount of resources because we've received some grant funds there. And we tend to always make sure that we utilise the grant resources first before using any other resources. And I think just to point that this year we did generate over 2.2 million in income from interest receivable. That we don't expect to continue. Interest rates are starting. We do see that now in our kind of rates that were offered to started to reduce, and we expect to have less cash balances to invest. And I think they're the key points. I'm happy to take any questions on it.
Thanks very much, Neil. And with that, do we have any questions? Councillor Bretherton.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In the report, you mentioned the £8.1 million was a result of suffrage in the capital programme. What caused that suffrage? Was there any particular projects that didn't go ahead, or what was the reason for not spending it?
So there were no projects that didn't go ahead. We haven't removed any schemes from the capital programme. Largely what that was there was a forecast for most of the town deal money to be spent in year, and that was because at that point in time we were still at the initial stages of fees, cost estimates, and we hadn't got a cash flow for the scheme as a whole. I think that it has been a comment from the auditors, actually, and I think we've discussed it previously at these meetings in terms of our forecasting of that. We are doing a lot of work with the property team now to better forecast that and estimate that over the life of the MTFS. So it wasn't a removal of any schemes, it was purely a profiling of when we expected that capital spend to occur.
Thanks very much. Any other councillors on the committee? Councillors not on the committee? Anybody else? No? Well, thanks very much for that report. It's just for noting. Takes us on to item 5, Governance Committee Annual Report. Well, Dawn's going to talk us through this item, even though she pointed out before that it's my item or it's our item. But anyway, Dawn's going to talk us through it.
Thank you, Chair. As I said, this is the annual report of the Governance Committee. It's the second time we've produced an annual report for the committee, and it's a requirement of the SIP for Guidance, the Audit Committee's practical guidance for local authorities and police from 2022. So the report's attached to Appendix A and goes through all the work that has been done by the committee over the past 12 months, how it's meeting the terms of reference, any training that's been done, membership and meetings. One key aspect is the effectiveness of the committee, which we did the exercise back in January. We did highlight 2 areas where we needed to strengthen the arrangements, and that was the appointment of the independent members, which we've now done. And the other area was the skills and knowledge of the committee. So these were last assessed in 2023. So it's important that we keep abreast of what the training needs are of the committee and that we're able to fulfil them. So we're going to issue the skills and knowledge questionnaire again, hopefully by the end of this week. It will be an online questionnaire. It shouldn't take too long to complete. And we're asking that's completed by Friday the 8th of August. But if that deadline is too tight, just let me know and we can deal with that. Also, if anybody would prefer a hard copy, we can also arrange that. So that really is the report. The report if approved tonight by the committee, will then go forward to be presented to full council in September.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dawn. Sounds like a real positive. And I'd love to take all the credit for all that, and we'll happily do so, but the credit's all yours on the committee. Any comments or questions? Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very good report. It's very easy to read, which is a good thing. I've just got one query on page 34. I don't know what it is on your iPad. It's under internal audit number 16. It says internal audit plan October 24 to March 25 and April 25 to September 26. Should that read 25?
Sorry, yes, it will be a typo. I'll make sure it's amended.
And as regards a hard copy, I'd like one, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from members on the committee? Councillor Shaw.
On this skills and knowledge, is that for the substitute members as well?
Yes, we will do, so that we get the whole range of everybody who potentially attends this committee.
Thanks, Councillor Shaw and Dawn. Yeah, that's a good point. Anybody else? Members not on the committee? Anybody else? No? Well, thanks very much. We do need a proposer and a seconder and to vote on this. So, Councillor Smith, thank you very much. Councillor Stevens, all those who'd like to agree and approve this, show your hands. Thank you very much. That's done. Which takes us on to item 6 and the internal audit strategy and charter. And Jackie's going to talk us through this item. Thanks, Jackie.
So this is the updated version of the internal audit charter, and we've also got the strategy, which is a new document for the committee. So you'll be aware that the global internal audit standards changed and came into force for us in the public sector from April. So we've updated our charter to make sure we're in line with these new standards, and we brought in the strategy. So previously the strategy, it was a recommendation, but it wasn't a mandatory requirement, which is why we've not had one previously. The new standards have changed that now, so we need to have one in place. So we've outlined the 2 areas within the standards and the requirements that we need to comply with. The charter you should be familiar with. It's not really different to how we've operated before. Gives you details of how we conduct ourselves as a service, the authority under we operate, how we maintain our independence and our objectivity. The strategy is more looking forward. So over the next 2 years, what we as a service are looking to achieve, and there's some actions in there about how we're looking to improve the service in line with our quality assurance programme that's in place already. So I'm happy to take any questions on those documents, should you have any questions.
Thanks very much, Jackie. Any questions or comments on this report or for Jackie? No? Well, we're rolling along nicely here. Thanks very much for all your work with that, Jackie, and everybody else. I do have a little 3-liner to read before we vote on this. So we're asked to approve the proposed internal audit strategy and charter and confirm that it accurately reflects our understanding and expectations of the internal audit service. With that, do we have a proposer? Councillor Gleeson, and a seconder. Councillor Stevens, can we confirm the decision with a show of hands? Wonderful. Takes us on to item 7 and the health and safety annual report for 24-25. Dawn, it's back to you for this one.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is the second time we've presented this report to the committee, and it's in line with best practice as it provides assurance to the committee in relation to our governance framework, in which health and safety is also a key part of. So the report again is attached to Appendix A, and it sets out the background to the service, all the key activities that have been undertaken during 24-25, any training that the team have either arranged or have delivered themselves. We look at accidents and statistics and key performance indicators, the team's own staff development, and also it also has a forward look for the health and safety plan for 25-26. So the report has been seen by the senior management team. It's one of the ways in which we are improving the visibility of the health and safety team. This is one area in which we do it. We do the annual report, but we also do quarterly reports to the senior leadership team as well. Overall, it's a positive report. It sets out, like I say, all the work that has been completed, but I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
I'll try that again. Thanks very much, Dawn. Councillor Shaw.
I'm sorry. Thank you. On paragraph 28, I see Chorley Council have received the attentions of the Health and Safety Executive in respect of duty to manage asbestos. Having seen through there the work that's going on in this building, and we have a number of other buildings, I just wonder what our preparedness is if the HSE decide to come in here in any case, what we're doing about asbestos.
So the council has actually got quite robust arrangements in place for asbestos and the management of it. You're right in that the HSE did focus on Chorley Council. However, property services are a shared team, and so the actions and recommendations that came from the review in relation to Chorley, they've applied equally to South Ribble to make sure that their arrangements are equally as robust. We do have, like you say, we do have an up-to-date policy in place. We have designated officers who are responsible for the management of asbestos. There were some recommendations, and like I said, they are being applied equally to both. I think one of the things that may be beneficial is if we bring back a report to the committee about how asbestos is being managed, and that's something we can arrange for the next meeting, if that would be useful.
Thanks, Dawn. I think that'd be really helpful. Yeah, thanks for that. Any other questions? Councillor Bretherton.
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the table on the very last page, page 89, and the number of near misses, there's a particular box, two boxes that stand out significantly. If you look at the top box, where number of misses, Chorley and South Ribble, Chorley appears to have gone down substantially, but South Ribble has gone up from 38 to 149, which is like a huge increase. And I'm just wondering if we could have some explanation as why that's happened.
No, it's not that they've gone down. They're different things. So South Ribble's number of accidents is 38 and number of near misses 149. And so they're two different figures.
Sorry, the number of near misses 149 compared to Chorley's 28. Is there a reason why South Ribble's is substantially more?
Yes, one of the main reasons for the difference is the delivery of the waste service, which is obviously a high risk service. So a lot of the near miss reports do come from the waste service.
So does that mean that the South Ribble's having more near misses than Chorley? Is it just that Chorley's are contracted out and ours are in-house, or what's the reason for that?
Yeah, Chorley's are not in-house, so they are contracted out. So we don't report on their near misses. So that's a big factor. The other factor is, perhaps South Ribble are better at reporting near misses. The team have done a lot of work in relation to near misses and in trying to improve reporting on that, because that's a key element of preventing future accidents. So that's something they've really put a lot of focus on. Maybe that message has just been better received at South Ribble.
Thanks for that. Councillor Gabbett.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, that's something I flagged as well, the same as Councillor Bretherton, 149, but usually you have more near misses than accidents, so it points more towards something being potentially wrong with Chorley's reporting rather than ours. The only comment I had is I just wanted clarification on the table below. The items are 5 number for us for hit by stationary object, and I just wanted to check in terms of what that would be. Would it, in terms of what would classify as that under if I can't work out what it is. There's
the mic on.
There's hitting by him.
That's a great question, Councillor Gabbard. Dawn, can you help us with it?
I'm going to be honest and say I can't, but I will find out for you, get the information for you and send it to you.
Thanks very much for that. And going back to the near misses, that is a real positive. I mean, if we were seeing a high number in the number of accidents, then we'd have a huge concern. So if we're picking up on within South Ribble and have a robust system now for reporting those near misses, that number will come down. But the fact that it's been picked up, I'm viewing that as a positive. Any other questions or comments? Well, I can't see that.
Okay.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. It's on page 80. It's about the health and safety training. And it's a very comprehensive report on this, which is much appreciated. The method of delivery and the regulations that it's required by. The figures vary such a lot, and I can understand that, but do you have a sort of a percentage of how many should have been there as against the ones that are reported are there? I'm thinking like 186 sounds a lot. So it sounds like possibly everybody was there, where some of them are a lot less. If you haven't got this, if you could let me know at some point, it's just out of interest as the percentage of training goes forward.
That is one of those areas that is actually quite difficult for the health and safety team to know exactly how many should be trained, because obviously it's a management responsibility. We provide the training and it's up to the management to ensure that their staff are trained. Now, we have a training policy now which clearly sets out that if we offer the training and their staff do not attend, then it's their responsibility to make sure they're trained by other means. So this is just the training that we have provided as a service. But what I would say is that the health and safety team are confident that if people should be trained, they are getting the training either by themselves or by other means.
If I could just go back to the near misses and the wheelie bins. It says in the report that 2/3 of the problem seems to be with the wheelie bins, which are, if you think about it, are getting quite old now. Would this particular report from Health and Safety actually feed through to senior management to say that is a problem now? And can it sort of be taken up by senior management that obviously there is a problem for our operatives with the wheelie bins?
Yeah, so as I said, this report has been seen by the senior management team before it comes to the committee, so they are aware of the issues. And like I said, we've increased reporting over the past 2 years. So on a quarterly basis, we report to the senior leadership team on a range of health and safety topics, and near misses and accidents is one key area of focus. So if there are any themes or trends being identified as a result of accidents or near misses, that's highlighted to the senior leadership team, like I say, on a quarterly basis.
If I may, please. I read your previous report, the charter and the strategy, with interest. I also note that it does actually apply to South Ribble Council, Chorley Council, Chorley Leisure and South Ribble Leisure. And then in this report, it goes on to say that Chorley Leisure and South Ribble Leisure have their own health and safety. I'm wondering how that works, as we are the council that wholly owns the company, and therefore at the end of the day, if there was a serious problem and we just, for instance, we landed up in court, do we still effectively are we the backstop of the health and safety if there is a serious problem, because they have got their own health and safety, but they are wholly owned by both councils? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but not being from a legal background, I can't answer that. And I don't know if, Howard, you can shed any more light on that, or whether that's something we'd need to come back with.
I would certainly not try to answer it on the hoof, but quite clearly we can take it away and get a proper report back confirming the strands of responsibility.
I think that would be very helpful, because I do feel that there does seem to be some very grey area here, that we could be very seriously liable at some point, and we could be in default if we don't know our responsibilities. So I think it would be very helpful to have some investigation into this.
Absolutely agree on that. Do you want to come back, Howard?
Yeah, just to put a bit of flesh on the bones, it depends very much on the individual documents that actually outline the operation and responsibilities. That's why giving a generic answer will probably not be accurate in this set of circumstances.
I think I'd just add, as I am a director of the leisure company as well as the director of finance, and myself and Jennifer Mullen as the managing director, we obviously get the health and safety reports. Dawn attends our board meetings as part of that responsibility. And I think there is some personal liability as a director, obviously, as people who've been involved with companies will know. So the health and safety around leisure companies is specific and it's not the same risks that are faced in the council. And I think as a result, there is some specialisms needed in there in terms of that. And we do get regular reporting on it. I think we can absolutely bring something back in terms of that assurance around that. But we do get regular reporting. It is a live discussion in all of our board meetings as well.
I entirely agree with you. There is a specialism within the leisure centres, and that's where a lot of the problems start, with slips and trips. And therefore, we have got to be very conscious of that. But it is still, I think, the grey area. You may have a specialist in the health and safety, but where the actual responsibility finally lies, I think needs to be investigated a bit further.
What I can answer is, in respect of insurance, it is a collective policy. So it does cover the leisure company and the council together as a single insurance policy. So in respect of those kind of claims, if there was to be a claim, it is covered by a single insurance policy for the council and the company.
A bit further clarification.
Well, thanks for raising that, Councillor Smith. I thought we will get that clarification. Thanks to officers on that. Any other questions or comments on the health and safety annual report? Councillor Bretherton.
So thank you, Chair. I hope you don't mind me asking a second question. I was quite interested in the RIDOR, what RIDOR meant, and then I've looked back through the reports, and I'm assuming it's the Health and Safety Executive. So we've had Chorley and ourselves have reported to the Health and Safety Executive because of the seriousness of the incident. But what's the consequences of that? Do councils get fined like companies do in the private sector? Is there an investigation, and what's the result?
It would very much depend on the seriousness of the accident to how involved the Health and Safety Executive would get. From the 7 that are included in this report, we've had no contact with them about it.
Sorry, they've not come back to us. So it's not that serious then. But okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Members? Oh, do you know what? I nearly... Go on, Councillor Shaw. You nearly burst then. Go on.
You didn't. I was just going to say that if it's reportable to the HSE, if it was serious enough, it can be reportable to the police. It's entirely a matter of the seriousness and where it goes up the scale.
Yeah, yeah. RIDOR reportable instances, injuries and occurrences. Yeah, there's quite a wide range. We can probably put some guidance together on it, can we? Yeah, if we can do that. Yeah, just as part of the minutes, perhaps. Okay. With that, is there any more questions or comments from members on the committee? Online? Not on the committee? Wonderful. So this item's for noting. Thanks very much, everybody. That's the end of the meeting. Thanks very much to the officers for all their help in putting these reports together and for their presentation. Thanks very much to the committee. Have a fantastic summer, and we'll see you all again in September for the nice light constitution item. All right. Thanks very much.